Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what evil prank have you pulled off? Two of my friends have never met each other. Before they spoke, I told both of them that the other is a bit deaf. They shouted at each other for a few minutes before they realized that I'm an asshole. I mean, this is the perfect prank. There's a little bit of embarrassment, but mostly just confusion on both of their parts. Edit: wow, people are so nice, wishing me a happy cake day. Also, since you're pranking two people, nobody feels singled out. AITA for pranking two of my friends who've never met each other by telling both of them that the other is a bit deaf. NTA, it was hilarious. My mom's laptop wallpaper was a picture of her granddaughter. I copied the picture 100 times and made her wallpaper a slideshow of the same picture over and over again, so the file would change but nothing would change visibly on the monitor. The pictures would change every 10 seconds. On one of the images I painted a tiny little curly mustache on her. So randomly for 10 seconds my niece would have a mustache. My mom thought she was either losing her mind or had a computer virus, and every time the mustache popped up, it was gone by the time she tried to show anyone. You show potential. Big time. I second that. Still laughy. One summer in college, I worked in the registrar's office, registering all the incoming freshmen. A prof who was a mentor to me was teaching freshman seminar and asked me to handpick a class for her. Straight A students, high SATs, whatever. So I did. 15 students, all named Sarah. I wonder if the professor took it in stride after finishing attendance. I suppose you're wondering why I gathered you together here today. Sarah fixed it for you, Sarah. I mean, it's awesome because when she got the roster it must have been a truly WTF moment for her. But in the classroom culture that inevitably develops, Sarah becomes as meaningful as Miss, and she just flames everybody anyway. A beautiful crime, and truly victimless. Edit: prof was a she/her. She called me, sounding like she didn't know if she should laugh or cry, and asked if it was a joke. Well, yes. I made fake versions of Internet Explorer that turn your PC off when started in the ICT class at school. Oh god, I thought about that for a second and truly, sincerely and with all my heart, fuck you. I print screened my friend's desktop and hid a bunch of his icons once. He thought his computer just wasn't responding. I saw a post about switching around Mayo and vanilla pudding, emptied out a Mayo jar and cleaned it well, filled it with a few pots worth of vanilla pudding and took it to Louis. Our Louis is very lax about eating during the lectures, so I waited until midday when I was sitting in the middle of all my friends and they were all eating their lunch. Cue me taking out the jar of mayo and a spoon, popping the lid and taking a big ol' spoonful with a grin. At first only the closest ones noticed, but after the third spoon it was like everyone was frozen around me. Pin drop silence. After the fifth spoon someone fetched and the spell was broken. The looks of sheer terror and disgust was well worth the pain of eating vanilla pudding. I'm a chocolate kinda gal. One of my friends let me know he was going to pull this prank, so I helped him fill a jar with pudding. Then I swapped his jar of mayo pudding with a regular jar of mayo. Chaotic evil. I did the same thing at one of my final exams, however I didn't have enough vanilla pudding and had to use 1 box worth of butterscotch pudding, to the 3 boxes of vanilla. The result looked like mayo that had been left in a hot car in the Nevada desert for weeks on end. It looked horrific, it even looked disgusting to my roommates, and they knew the truth. I sat down in the front row, pulled the jar out of my backpack, and started ferociously shoveling it into my mouth. The guy next to me looked over in shock. I hear someone behind me ask, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? I turn around, still shoveling pudding into my mouth, and grin. I continued for about 5 minutes until even I couldn't stomach the thought of eating anymore. The people around me gave me a look of disdain and fear as I left, never having told them that it was not, in fact, mayonnaise. Edit: I can't spell. Do blue Gatorade in a Widex bottle next. Clean out that bottle well or you'll fucky die. I lived in Korea for a bit. When my mom came to visit, I told my Korean girlfriend it was an American custom to greet older women by touching elbows. I told my mom the same story about Korean customs. It was a thing of beauty. They were not pleased. Simple, elegant, thoughtfully harmless. The perfect prank. When my brother and I were in middle school, my brother liked to skateboard with our next door neighbor. One day, my brother and the neighbor took the sheet of plywood from under my brother's upper bunk bed, no one slept in the upper bunk, out of the house and started making a skateboard ramp out of it in the neighbor's adjacent yard. My parents had explicitly told him that he wasn't allowed to do that. Now, in my defense, my brother teased me unmercifully, to the point of tears, on multiple occasions, so keep in mind that he had had it coming for a long time. Anyway, an evil little plan hatched in my brain. I ran to the upstairs window and yelled down at them, "Brother's name, guess what? Mom knows everything and she is SOOO mad." Then I slammed the window shut and ran to the stairs and waited while watching my mom read the newspaper. A few moments later, my brother walks in the front door looking worried and says, "Mom, I'm so sorry." My mom, who had no idea what was going on, said, "About what?" while slowly putting the newspaper down. "For making a skateboard ramp out of the wood from the bunk bed." "You did what?" At that moment, a wave of shock and realizatio swept across my brother's face and our eyes met. I let out the biggest evilest little sister cackle and ran into my room. We are adults now and still laugh about it from time to time. This sounds like something out of Malcolm in the Middle, haha. Dewey screams. The supervisor at my office is a short little man who likes to work from a laptop on a rolling adjustable desk. For over a year I gradually raised the height of this desk and watched as he went from sitting on a stool, to an adjustable tall task chair, to standing. Last week he removed the wheels from the desk to lower the height. He doesn't realize it's adjustable. Now you must lower it all the way. Or just lower it back to the original height over the course of another year. A friend kept trying to steal my sushi off my plate at a sushi restaurant. So while she wasn't looking I stuffed it full of wasabi, put a bit of fish back on top to cover my tracks, and pretended to not be looking when she started reaching towards it. She tossed it into her mouth, started chewing down, and I just swung my head towards her to say, "You fucked up." 5 minutes of coughing, muffled screaming, and copious amounts of water later, she had learned her lesson. TBF, she had that coming. She only had herself to blame. I farted under the covers, then pointed at the ceiling above my GF and shouted, "Spider." So she'd throw the blankets over her head. Later when she told her parents, that turned out to be the thing that earned her dad's respect for me. Made him laugh so hard he needed an inhaler. Not me, but a story my mom used to tell on my dad. I don't know what it was about my dad's digestive system, but anything he ate comes out smelling bad. Really bad. As in, after he was in the bathroom no one else could go in there for at least a half hour longer if he forgot to open the window. Honestly, the smell would gag a maggot. Heaven forbid you be the one mom sent in there to open the window when he forgot. One night dad came home from work, night shift, got in bed, stuck his butt out of the covers and passed a really rancid one, then pulled the covers up over his head so he didn't have to smell it. But what he didn't know was that mom had eaten something for supper that was just as noxious on its way out. She waited till he got his head under the covers and got a good seal on it and let one rip. She said he came out from under those covers like a shot, gagging the whole time. The smell would gag a maggot. Thank you for sharing this incredible story. One that was played on me. I took my SATs, college entrance exams, for those outside the US, on April the 1st. Should have known, right? But apparently, I'm not that smart. That night I went out with a group of friends, and when I got home my mom met me with a serious look on her face. She told me that the testing committee had called, that there had been an error and all test papers from that day were lost. Everyone was being contacted to schedule a date to retake the exam. She totally sold it. Face, reactions, everything. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. And she let me believe it until lunchtime the next day. My mom is a diabolical person. The fact that she let you believe it until the next day is evil, lol. I got a Harry Potter calligraphy set for my birthday years ago. It had Hogwarts marked paper, envelopes and everything. My brother ate all of my birthday chocolates from an aunt that night, so I plotted my revenge. Next September I copied out Harry's letter word for word in green ink, only changing the name. I let him believe he was going to magic school for 2 whole weeks before I crushed it. How old was he? I'm trying to figure out how much I'm allowed to laugh at this. 11 or 12. I was only 13 at the time, so losing chocolate justified a lot of revenge. Plot twist, joke's on you. International Statute of Secrecy. I guess if time turners can justify an average to stage adaptation, they can justify the fact I went to school with him for years after. Or maybe I'm a wizard too. Once I asked a friend for another friend's phone number. He gave me a teacher's number. I then went on to send multiple messages in a fake angry tone to my unsuspecting teacher. Fuck that diabolical genius of a friend. I hope you didn't reveal your name in any of those texts. Oh, he found out it was me. He was actually pretty pissed at first, but I explained it without throwing my friend under the bus and got off with just an awkward moment. Haha, kinda similar to what I did. My friend, let's call him Neil, because that's his name, wanted to prank a mutual friend of ours who was traveling abroad at the time. While this mutual friend was in Sweden, Neil texted everyone in his phone book and told them all that this mutual friend, Chris, had West Nile virus. It was a well-known, media-scare disease at the time. Well, people went insane. This mutual friend Chris was waking up to hundreds of missed calls and texts asking him how he was and if he needed anything while he was in the hospital. Ahu, Neil took a quick break from swarming people's inboxes with West Nile news, and I swiftly changed my contact profile in his phone to Verizo WRLSS. And deleted all of our texts. After about an hour, I started secretly sending texts to Neil stating, "Your data usage for this month is nearing the maximum on the account." This was back in the days before unlimited talk and text, so going over the monthly data plan meant an ass whooping from your parents. Whoosh, I sent so many texts that Verizo said I'm using almost all my data for the month. Neil said, and he put his phone away. "K, I'm done for the night." I waited about 5 more minutes before sending about 10 messages in a row. "Your data usage for the month is now at maximum usage. Any additional calls or texts will incur a new cost of $10 per message/call. Before he could read on to the second message I sent, he was already in full meltdown mode. I just kept sending. "Your monthly bill has now increased to $249.99 for February. And with every text, his eyes watered and his blood ran cold at the thought of his dad seeing this bill all for a harmless prank. By the end of the night I had sent a running bill up to $790 before finally telling him it was all a joke. His mixed look of relief, hatred, appreciation, and impressed was something I'll never forget, and even brought it up at his wedding 10 years later. Edit, spelling. Oh man, when I worked at McDonald's roughly 15 years ago, a kid I worked with asked a customer for her number and she actually gave him one. He called it and it was her boyfriend. Lol. You got to have some steel nuggets to ask a customer for her number at the McDonald's.